Do you remember a few weeks ago when she called Prince Harry and Meghan Markle disaster tourists?
Yes, I do. And ambulance chasers when Meghan and Harry turned up to Los Angeles while the fires were still going on and acted like everybody wanted them to be there.
Once again, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are back in the headlines, but this time they're not the ones doing the talking. Hollywood heavyweight Justine Bateman just took a flamethrower to the Sussex's ongoing victim narrative, and people are listening. Is this the moment the public finally says enough is enough?
But in fact, Justine Bateman leading the charge for Angelenos, people who live in Los Angeles, the citizens of that great city, who were just furious, just you two just cashing in, just for a kind of publicity picture. Aren't we wonderful visiting the victims? It was a very a sad spectacle, a horrible sight to see, and Justine Bateman was quite right. She called them disaster tourists and ambulance chasers. Others called them tragedy vultures. They were right. They were just cashing in. Really sick to see.
Well, Justine's had some additional thoughts on Harry and Meghan. I think specifically Meghan's new show has inspired her a little bit. And she wrote on her Substack, the problem with Meghan Markle and her husband, Harry, is that every opportunity they have explored or exploited over the past few years has been due to their aggressive victim Olympics campaign. And she said the difference between doing that 2 years ago and doing it now is immense. In 2025, no one wants to see victims anymore. No one wants to watch someone play act at something they didn't earn, adding that she has even created the couple's own gold medal. Like she created a graphic of for the Victimhood Olympics for them. I know that she is getting a lot of attention for this. And she tries to say, look, if Meghan Markle wants to do a cooking show, God bless her. But I do think she's calling out why a lot of Americans are over Prince Harry and Meghan. And I always felt like this would inevitably be the case because in America, we're very much like, get up and do it again, get up and try it again. You know, we're not typically the type that wallow in self-pity, but Harry and Meghan found a really great time to launch that campaign, and it worked for a minute.
Buckle up, because we're diving deep into what social media is calling the Victim Olympics, and why Justine Bateman's blunt takedown is going viral for all the right reasons. When Meghan and Harry stepped away from royal duties, they promised a life of quiet service and privacy.
Yeah, I don't know Justine Bateman. She, of course, was in Family Ties, but she strikes me as a very smart woman, very perceptive. She's exactly right. She's exactly right that when Meghan and Harry started off on their road, leaving Britain, coming to America, it was different times. In those days, you could say, oh, I'm a victim, everybody's out to get me, everybody hates me, I'm the victim of racism. And such was the culture then that we all went, oh, you poor thing, you're a victim. In that case, I really love you, I really support you. Now, Justine is right that since then, since they came to the States, what Meghan has failed to notice is that times have changed. This is Trump's America. This is Trump's world, for God's sake. And we don't like victims anymore. We think victims are pathetic. They're whiners. Stop moaning about yourself. And as you say, show a bit of American spirit and just get on with your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does feel like the victimhood narrative is something that she actively pursues. She was basking in it during the Harry and Meghan Netflix series. She really enjoyed you could tell she really enjoyed telling the story, and she loved that she was having the opportunity to rehash all of this negativity that you'd think that as somebody that had quote unquote fled the British royal family, you would try to be truly escaping versus sitting there just reliving it in front of multiple cameras and strangers and someone else's house for Netflix. But yeah. What I really quickly want to say is I'm sorry if she felt that there was racism towards her, but it is hard for regular people to accept her stories going forward after seeing how extreme that Harry and Meghan describe everything, near catastrophic car chase. We got married a few days before. Because they've been caught in so many, I think you guys call them porcupines. It's hard for people to process what she says as truth and only the truth going forward. There is cynicism.
Yeah, the high-speed Manhattan car chase, which apparently went along at the speed of about 8 miles an hour. You remember the mayor of New York going, high-speed car chase in Manhattan? Whoever saw that, that you can't go at a high speed in Manhattan? But it's another example of them saying, look at us, we're victims. We're victims of the evil paparazzi, of the evil media that chase us everywhere we go. Well, they don't really, and they didn't in Manhattan, as the mayor and the chief of police pointed out. They basically said, we think they're making this story up, or that they're exaggerating this story. Classic of those two. Everything is depressing. Everything is negative. You know, why can't she accentuate the positive for once? I mean, for God's sake.
We should talk about that, because there is, I think that's why people are having a hard time accepting With Love Meghan. This stark contrast from the negative space she's been in for the last 5 years. Talk to me about that.
But instead, we got Oprah specials, Netflix docuseries, podcast deals, and now book bombs. Spare, over 3 million copies sold. Every appearance seems to come with a new chapter in their saga of suffering.
Well, exactly. You know, she's giving us this sob story about the victimhood that she suffered. Everybody thinks, you know, everybody subjects her to terrible racism, and the royal family were horrible to her. And then she came over to America and didn't like Donald Trump and doesn't like the right wing and hopes that the Democrats can be in charge and all this kind of stuff. You know, as if she's having a terrible life. I mean, in Britain, she lived in palaces. She jet-setted around the world in private jets. Everybody served her, you know, said servants everywhere, didn't have to lift a finger. Comes to America, moves into, what is it, a $15 million mansion with 19 bathrooms, fantastic gardens, yard, amazing swimming pool, everything you could possibly want, tennis courts. And she says she's having a tough life. Give me a break. Do me a favour. I'm sick of it, you know. And so then she, all of a sudden, there's this volte-face, this massive U-turn, and it's With Love Meghan. Hey, isn't everything fantastic? Look, I'm making ladybird-shaped canapes, and I'm freezing edible flowers into ice cubes. Everything's great now. Ha ha ha. There's all my paid-for friends and the staff I'm making food for. Isn't it smashing? Well, people will take one look at this. They're looking at this and saying, is this the same woman who's been complaining and moaning for 5 years? Suddenly she's very, very happy, living a lovely life. What are we supposed to believe? You can't believe anything of her. Everything seems to be fake. It seems to be a fraud.
Extreme. One extreme or the other.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And that's why With Love, one of the reasons With Love Meghan is failing, the sense of fakery around it. And the other reason is that we've discussed many times, well, actually there's a lot of reasons, but the other main reason is it is catastrophically, breathtakingly boring. It is the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. And that's why hardly anyone is watching it. That's why it wasn't commissioned for a second series. They'd already filmed one. And that's why Netflix is almost certain all set to cancel the Sussex's contract, their $100 million contract. So, again, a different story. She's celebrating. Isn't it great? I'm getting a second series. Oh, Netflix loved me. The real story is Netflix are cancelling the contract.
Yeah, the real story is you don't like all the negative headlines, and so you throw grain waffles up on Instagram and to distract people. Did you see the new theory that the waffles she posted aren't even the same waffles that you see her making because the creases are different? I'm like, whoa. Either way, they're hideous. Okay, either way, they're unedible to me. They're unappetizing or edible to me.
What was it, by the way? I mean, he had a greeny... It's like I said last night on my show when you were on, that it looked like someone had been sick on the plate. Just this kind of
Tracy
green
Morgan,
stuff.
courtside.
Yeah, I mean, what was it supposed to be, by the way? What was that? It was just horrible looking. But it
It
proves...
had a it had a kiwi mouth, blueberry eyes, and
That's
then
right.
whipped cream hair.
Yeah,
But I
that's...
don't know who it's to be.
But it proves to Kinsey that she just doesn't have an eye for nice food. You know, as proved in With Love, Meghan. You know, single skillet spaghetti and things like that. I mean, it sounded all right, but I mean, hardly Epicurean food, was it? All the dishes seemed so ordinary. My favourite, as I said to you last week, was the yogurt parfait, which was shop-bought yogurt with a few raspberries thrown on top. That's not yogurt parfait, or yoghurt as we call it in Britain. That's just yoghurt with a few raspberries chucked on the top of it. It's just ridiculous.
From royal racism claims to family betrayal, Meghan and Harry have built a brand on being the palace pariahs. Enter Justine Bateman, actress, director and now royal truth-teller. In a brutally honest podcast appearance, she slammed the Sussexes for turning their grievances into entertainment.
I mean, it just tells us that Prince Harry must stop and applaud at everything she does. You know, the living room's been picked up on a Thursday. Everybody stop and acknowledge that Meghan has done a huge service to the household. Like, it just tells me that Harry just like it fawns over everything. But we'll get into Harry and Meghan's relationship here in a second. But I want to talk, we've kind of talked about how there are these extremes. Meghan's all over the place. I think that here's another example of that with her new podcast, which instead of going the lifestyle route, which I would have if I were about to launch a lifestyle brand where you could buy tangible products that I'm trying to push, Meghan has decided to make an entrepreneurial podcast where she talks about the build of her brand, which to me, it's just a way for her to try to, again, distract from how thoroughly she has screwed up throughout this process. We thought this was American Riviera Orchard for a year. It suddenly, 2 weeks before launch, became As Ever. I told you that she just resubmitted some trademark paperwork without her signature, got kicked back to her again. I think that she's realizing that there are so many people calling out her screw-ups that she thinks, oh, well, I'll just do this podcast and it'll be another way for me to distract from all of the errors I'm making, or I can try to talk them away in this podcast to justify them. But the reality is this sounds like as boring as the fake cooking show.
Yeah, the thing about Meghan is that all of her ideas are stolen. So you know, she's trying to be Martha Stewart with Love, Meghan, and with this podcast. I mean, she's the latest of many people to do this, and there are a few quite successful podcasts involving successful business people interviewing other successful business people about the secret of the success in the business world. A lot of people interested in that kind of stuff, but these people are good presenters. These people have a heritage, are established successful business people themselves. Now, Meghan, she's not a successful business person. What has she ever done business-wise that succeeded? And don't say the TIG. That's not a business. That's an actress, you know, doing
a hobby.
Getting a few free things, getting free stuff with a sort of halfway interesting website. Well done. It's not a business. Now, American Riviera Orchard was never a business. Had to get canned because it was the wrong name.
Get it, but I'm pumped.
Yeah, exactly. And now we've got As Ever, which still isn't a business. So she's positioning herself as, you know, as one tycoon to another. What's the secret of the success of your business? Well, as I said to you last, as I said to you last week, I hope she pays attention when these interviewees give their answers, because she should take notes, because she's never had a successful business. And by the way, when you're talking about Harry, I'll give Meghan one thing. I'll give Meghan one thing. I mean, she's tenacious. She doesn't give up. She's so obsessed with herself that she just won't give up. So with each new failure, she's in your face again with another guaranteed failure. But she does keep trying. She does keep trying. She's very, very trying indeed. What is Harry doing now? Anyone know? What on earth is he doing? He's doing nothing. He's just getting stoned or something, isn't he?
It's like watching a reality show where they're the only ones crying in every episode. Justine Bateman. She didn't hold back, and the internet loved every second of it. Bateman called out their constant need for validation, their relentless victimhood, and asked what millions have been thinking. When does it stop?
Oh man. Well, I think that he's really going to actually, I saw someone giving him advice in one of the papers saying, continue with this brand separation. The Sussex brand is toxic. Stay independent and stay away from your wife. Yeah. And as I read that, I thought, you know what? That's very good advice. I feel like every time she's at the Invictus Games, we're appalled at her behavior. We're appalled at the daily updates on her wardrobe. I do think that he is stronger away from her. And maybe that's why we saw him solo a few weeks ago at the firefighter charity event in Santa Barbara, despite the fact that I did think it was weird. Meghan's got a show she's trying to promote. You think she would put herself out there more beyond a People magazine article or two about yoga, fist bumping her friends at yoga. But I do think that that's really good advice. That I think he's going to stay in the charity space because that's all he's comfortable with. But like you said, is that really a job? Some would argue it is, making money, helping raise money for charities. I just hope that they're worthy charities, because now Ashley Biden's being investigated for the $250,000 that Harry and Meghan gave her. I just hope that they do their due diligence when it comes to the charities that Prince Harry associates himself with. And they are worthy causes, and he can make an impact, an important impact. But it does seem like that's the place that he feels the safest. But I really believe that the Vanity Fair article was right when they said that sources close to the couple said Prince Harry was happy to stay home with the kids. Meghan Markle's, if Meghan wants to be the hustler, that's fine, because we didn't see his passion in the Netflix projects. Otherwise, he would have been out talking to Hoda Kotb on the Today Show. She's not there anymore, but anyone on the Today Show about why he was so passionate about his new polo show, or playing a game of polo to promote his polo show. There were a million ways he could have done that. And Harry and Meghan think that they are just these extraordinary beings and that their existence will attract success. And that's not the case in Hollywood. You have to bust your ass. You know this, Kevin. If you want that Netflix contract to continue, get your ass on a red carpet and smile for the cameras, because you need to sign on the dotted lines again in 2025.
Exactly right. You have to work at it in Hollywood. And, I don't want to accuse Harry of being work shy, but I think he's a bit work shy. He likes to go surfing, and he likes to smoke dope. He likes to hang out, and he's perfectly happy to watch his wife slave her backside off, trying to be famous, trying to be loved, and failing. I think that the problem with that household, with the Sussexes household, is, neither of them are very talented. Both of them are pretty useless. He's completely useless, and she's sort of fairly useless. So this idea that she's the powerhouse, she's the genius in the household, well, yeah, she's probably slightly cleverer than him, not saying much, and she certainly works a little harder than him, again, not saying much. But there is your problem. You've got a couple of people, as you just said, Kinsey, very entitled. They expect fame and fortune to be bestowed upon them because of who they are. Don't put that much effort into it, and neither of them are particularly talented. This is a bad combination, a toxic combination. almost as toxic as her reputation in Hollywood after those series of articles accusing her of being a dreadful bully to her staff. So comprehensive were those articles in Vanity Fair, Hollywood Reporter, plus the stories we got when they were back here in Britain.
Justine Bateman didn't just criticise Meghan and Harry. She echoed the public's growing fatigue with royal soap operas. Maybe it's time for the Sussexes to take the advice they once gave the world: be kind, be quiet, and move on. Let me know what you think in the comments. Was Justine Bateman right to call them out, or are Meghan and Harry still fighting the good fight? Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss the drama. Until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and stay tuned.